Hi,
Hi.
hello everyone, and thank you for attending our talk. We want to say thank to the entire Outlier team for giving us the opportunity to participate as speakers and make this event possible.
Now we are going to screen the presentation and then we will meet again for questions. See you later and take note for anything you want to ask us, even the intimate ones.
This story is a love story. We are not going to tell you our love story, but we will talk about the relationship that we have created between data and objects, and how you can make the best use of any object to make infographics, even pit book bags. We are coupling data. A couple professionally and sentimentally of creative directors, design data geeks, pet lovers, and more than a year ago we founded this artistic collective that seeks new narratives through data visualizations.
Joa is from Colombia and she is the super skillet of the couple. She can do anything with any material.
Edu is from Spain, and after a few months he has recovered all his hair, but he can't make a better piece of origami. Humor is a part of our DNA, and we love to create data visualizations because through them we can make an impact, learn more about reality, raise new questions, and connect with everyone in the world. In fact, thanks to the Instagram account, we have been able to meet many people who we send a greeting. And now that you know us, we want to tell you the context in which the couple in data project was born. So we must go back to March 2020. The pandemic arrives and with it comes a new way of life, quarantine, a time when we were all locked in our homes and took our boring lives. Now we can say that there is not better booster than boring for creative minds. But quarantine doesn't come alone. A lot of new problems appear. In fact, the newspaper Daily Mail published a study showing that during those months of quarantine, divorce rates increased in UK. It is true that those months were difficult because we were arguing more. That's why we worked to keep our couple alive. And since we are not very normal and instead of going to a psychologist. Also because we couldn't go and video calls are not the same. We came up with the idea of creating visualizations to try to find out where the problems were. Besides, this way we will be more entertainment. That's when we realized that we shouldn't be asking ourselves questions or doing interviews, but everything around us, the environment where we live, was filled with our data, and this defined us in some way. So we decided to experiment and ask the objects in a metaphorical way. We are not crazy enough to talk to the sponge. To do this in a few weeks, each one used a different sponge, and we realized who used it more and which one would be more worn out at the end. In this way, we discovered that the objects are data containers. In addition, when you put them together, you can create bars, pie chart, any graphics. Now be careful and sign with them a data management because they have more of your data than Google. Joking aside, we also discovered that the objects are like the best visualization. In a matter of seconds, you can analyze and understand information quickly and concisely. That's why we say that objects speak loudly. Let's hope that the spongy on the right doesn't tell us what it has seen. Thirdly, we discovered that the objects on their own and without intervention have a very powerful narrative charge. To prove it, during this vacation, we took pictures of the garbage cans we have around the house, specifically the days after special dates. This has been the result, and to our astonishment, it is perfect observed. how the two holidays have a very different visualization. From the 25, we can say that plastic and packages were what Santa Claus brought the most. At least this year seems to have been a Christmas where people separate the plastic from the rest of the products. And it was also a Christmas where antigen tests were one of the most received gifts, as there were several of them on the floor. During the 31st night, the picture changed completely. The glass container is full. Surely many people start 2022 with a big hangover. That's why, just with that, we have seen around us, we can tell you a good stories. Finally, we realize from using everyday objects that everyone has at home. Stranger bonds are created with people because everyone feels identified. Aren't there other designs and colors for kitchen sponges? This is how we match the objects and they become the perfect couple to create infographics that told a big part of our life in pandemic. In total, we create 35 visualizations where we combine everything that surrounds us with the most classic forms of data visualization. This was one of the biggest challenges, trying to make each infographic with a different type of presentation, always respecting the data and that the chosen graphic was the right one for each visualization. Pictures made up of cards. Don't you always get to a point where you spend half the game drawing from the deck? Donut charts made up of donuts. That showed how much weight we had gained and who were the culprits. In this one, we have not been very original. Relationship diagrams that told how traumatic it is for Edu find the house keys. Bar charts that showed a new reality. All the cookies we have to give our dog to keep it quiet during video calls. Line graph with the curve of our songs and with the curve of our drunkenness and the topics that always end up talking about aliens or while not talking. Sankey diagram represent information management and how WhatsApp has become our biggest hard drive.
In order for all the visualizations to have a formal coherence, despite using very different objects and themes, we standardize a process that we want to serve with everyone. So, with these 5 simple steps, you can create your own visualizations with the objects around you. The first step is choose the topic that you want to discuss or discover. As in our case, when we wanted to know who washes the dishes the most. Otherwise, we resort to memes as they are a great source of inspiration. It is also worth mentioning that the seasonality, Halloween, Christmas, summer, or news that happen helped us to create the content. The second step, once you have defined the topic, is collect the data. For this, we use the Google Spreadsheet mobile app because it's very fast and you always have your phone at the hand. It should be noted that if the visualization to be developed is more qualitative, this step would not be necessary but a survey or the actual annotation of values. The third and most important step is choose the type of the object to be used for the visualization. It is true that once you have chosen the topic you are going to talk about, you may have already defined the element, but it is always important to take some time and explore different objects and find the one has the necessary conceptual coherence but it's far enough away or the relationship is not so direct to create that sense of wonder. For example, we can talk about fights in our couple. We use the mat for the reasons discussed above. When you think of a fight, you don't think of this subject at the first instance, but if you think about it, there is a close relationship of igniting the discussion, the degree to which the issues are burned, until at the end everything ends up burned. That is why it's very important to think laterally and not stay with the first thing that comes to your mind. Better hold back until you find the best one. The fourth step is sketching. Sketch, sketch, and sketch until you figure out the best way to connect with your audience and show the data as deserve it. Don't stick with the first sketch. Try to have more than one, even if you go back to the beginning. In this example, you can see our process and how the last option was in the end the chosen one. Since we realized that the files are cyclical process, therefore the best was using a radial diagram where each match was burned into ashes. I promise never to leave a sock on the floor again. The last step is getting everything ready to take the photo. Use light or gray backgrounds so the objects and the display are the ones that shine. If you are going to take the photo outdoors, take the photo on gray days so that the shadows are not so marked. We want to use the floor of our terrace as a background to show naturalness and that you don't need a big production to develop an interesting piece. And we never use our names or faces in our infographics because we want everyone to feel identified. In addition, one detail we also want you to know. The imperfections are super valuable. Look for the imperfection because people are imperfect, as in this case of the destroyed match or the bite on the donut. That imperfections if we couldn't avoid it. Finally, try, fail, and try again. In the example, the time we spent watching series versus the time took to find it, we tried to make a pie chart, but you could barely see the difference between regular popcorn and butter popcorn, so we discarded it and made a bar chart. All this, plus a great creative exercise, it has been a real therapy for us. Since with this exercise, we have realized problems that have a simple solution. We have known each other a little more and the challenge that nobody wanted to appear in the visualization as the words changed our way of acting. In addition, at the time, we turned our small space into a big universe full of stories. Here you can see the infographics associated with the different areas of the apartment and where those moments occurred. We will continue innovating and go further. Before it was the objects that told us the data, now we want the morphology of the objects themselves to be modified by the data. For this reason, and as we are still at distance, we use packaging so that each person can live their own experience through an object modified by data. The first step we have taken towards this new path has been Data Christmas. As always, Christmas arrives and our marketing clients receive millions of gifts, and most of them go unnoticed. To generate a memory of our studio and our gift doesn't end in the trash, we decide to send them what they love: data. Data Christmas is a set of 4 chocolate boxes with 4 edible infographics that use the design to turn data into something simple to understand. So the clients could understand how Christmas is built and we stand out in a market as saturated as Christmas gifts. Each box is designed to be an experience where the users takes a tour through all the Christmas components. It starts on the cover where the user is introduced to the subject and continue inside, where data is represented with chocolate. So we would help them to understand Christmas data because while they are reading them, they receive a positive stimulus thanks to the power of cocoa. Inside the boxes, they found such curious data as the best-selling nativity stand figurine was Donald Trump's, or that the most heard carol was the BSO from Home Alone, or 65% of Spanish people let Christmas light work for all year.
The second project we are working on is called Period Teaser. Millions of women in Latin America experience menstruation without knowing what is really happening in their bodies. The lack of information causes doubts and insecurities to haunt them throughout their lives. That is why we decide to turn the moment where they meet with themselves, the moment of tea, into a safe space where they can discover themselves. That is why we develop a calendar of infusions, which day after day dissolve the taboo of menstruation. Through an infographic composed of 28 envelopes, women are guided through all the phases of the menstrual cycle. So, while they discover what are the biological phenomena that occur, such as the several hormones, the stage of the eggs, and why this process influences in the emotions. Daily, they can try different types of infusions, which are chosen to regulate each of the states by means of their different properties. With the envelopes, they can keep their own accounts and unbox all the emotions that appear every day. So, the calendars are customizable so that in a visual way they can begin to know themselves and understand that each body is different.
This is the end of our presentation, and before finish, we would like to make a small conclusion of everything we have seen. 1. Observe and look around you to create infographics. You can make them with anything and even find them in the trash. 2. Ask yourself questions. Understand your reality because with visualizations you can transform yourself or other people. And 3. Take advantage of the narrative chart that objects must tell stories and connect with the audience. Experiment. We will continue talking, but now we would like to hear from you.
You can also follow us at Couple in Data, or if you have any questions, collaboration, or greetings, we are just an email away at hello@couple.studio. Thanks for all.
Thanks.
See ya.